It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Gustavus Adolphus College assistant swimming and diving coach, Coach Sophia Artley. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college, women's swimming and diving?
Yeah, it kind of was a chance encounter actually. So I have known that I've wanted to coach probably since I was in middle school. I was swimming. I joke that I always have opinions on people's swims, but I do, and I love analyzing it and learning more about it. But I was basically in the area, and my former head coach was like, "You're here," and I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I think I have a job for you if you'd like it." And I said, "Well, absolutely." So um, we met and kind of went over the terms, and it was like a dream come true. So I did not, like, a year ago, even frankly this summer, I did not expect this to be that step I went into. So it's kind of funny how life happens, but perfect timing of crossing each other's paths.
What was that experience like for you as a college athlete being a swimmer at Gustavus?
Yeah, Gustavus, it's a special place. It's a Division III school, so there's kind of a big emphasis on not just being an athlete, but also being able to kind of pursue other endeavors. Whether, I also played the cello in undergrad, so I got to do that and really focus on academics. But Gustavus itself it has a special program. John Carlson, the head coach, he's been coaching for a while there, and he has just created a very strong and strong legacy. So it was very exciting to become part of that. I met many of my best friends through that. It will always have a special place in my heart. Those 4 years swimming made those 4 years probably some of the best of my life.
As a swimmer, what was it like getting to put on that cap for Gustavus and representing them?
It was super exciting, and I talked about this a lot, with some of my freshman athletes too. I didn't get it. I had actually never heard of Gustavus before going to tour it because I'm not from Minnesota. I'm from Colorado, but I have family out here. And so I didn't fully understand the breadth of like how big and how much people love their time on that team and the legacy it has. And so I didn't realize, like, the first time I put that cap on for my swim meet, I kind of was getting it. Like, this is a team, and it's a team that's kind of further expanded. Alumni come back to support, especially for our rival swim meet. The stands are packed with alumni. So yeah, putting that cap on for the first time, it was very exciting because I knew I was becoming part of something kind of bigger than myself.
For you as an athlete, what was that first swim meet like for you?
Chaotic, if I'm not gonna lie. I think I remember, actually, it was my birthday too. So it was like they sang happy birthday for me, and I didn't know everyone's names yet on the team fully because so I was still, but I that was nice because I was like, okay, they're creating a space for me, right? But it was fun. Swim meets are still swim meets no matter where you are. And so I had the consistency of, I'm swimming basically the same events that I've specialized in for a good chunk of my swimming career. And I'm still doing the same thing, except one thing that was notable to me was, and I think is very special about Gustavus and has been pointed out a lot, the cheering. I had teammates at the end of my lane. I actually got so startled because one of my teammates, Connor Winter, was in my face, like at the end of my lane as I was turning. And it scared me because I had never had someone get that close to me, like cheering me on. So I actually kind of was turning, and I got startled. I was like, is he going to fall in? But yeah, so.
Of course, during your time as a collegiate athlete, what were some of your biggest accomplishments as a swimmer?
I always kind of joke I was a middle of the pack athlete. So I would say my accomplishments were getting through those 4 years alive. No, I'm just kidding. But I was able to compete, get better as an athlete. And so kind of more of a middle of the pack athlete for sure.
Of course, what was that transition like going from being an athlete to joining the coaching staff the following year?
That was definitely a unique process. I think, I kind of talk about like with my friends a lot. You're entering your post grad, post college experience. And so that was like your 4 years of pretend adulthood, but now you're really an adult. And then combine that with I'm working with um, these were my former coaches, and now I'm their colleague. So that was kind of interesting to me. And then I'm coaching athletes who were once my teammates, including actually my sister. My sister swims for Gustavus too, so that was really fun. We had a discussion about, okay, we're sisters, but on deck, I'm your coach. So it was a bit of a learning curve, and I was very, very gracious and patient coaches who taught me everything that I know now. It was a bit, but there's also things that I think just come naturally. And by the end of that season, I always felt like I had a good spot, and I kind of had to, I didn't really have to fight, I feel like, to get, them to trust me as a coach. But there was that, it's interesting going from being an athlete right away to being a coach on the team, but I really enjoyed it.
Of course, for you, how was that transition like the first season going from being an athlete to getting into the coaching world?
I think swimming's such a unique sport because you work so hard all year and you get like 2 shots to really show off and go fast, right? You only rest, like fully rest, for maybe 2 meets in a year. And so it's exhausting and it's a lot. And so by the end of my senior year, I love swimming. I've been swimming since I was 6, but I was like, I think my body and my brain, I'm just ready to be done, I think. But then I became coaching, and I was talking to my boyfriend. He played football at Gustavus. And I was like, I really miss competing. And I didn't think I was going to as much. And he said, yeah, there's a reason a lot of athletes, after they're done with the sport, step far away from it for a while, because it's you miss it and you're right in the midst of it. So it was a bit of, honestly, an emotional experience, because it was like I'm no longer doing what I've done every weekend, but I am, just in a different perspective. So
Of course, for you as a coach, was it like getting to coach your teammates along with coaching your sister?
yeah, they were great. We had a discussion. I think one of the reasons I came on as a coach was John's, kind of was really valued. We had a great coach. Her name was Bree when I was swam, a female presence, because as athletes, we train the men and the women's team together. So there was the value of having a female presence. So we kind of knew that, but that's like one of the reasons I was coming on. But credit to the athletes too. They let me do what I had to do, right? They let me give them critiques, and they were great. It's a two-way process. I can do all I want, but they still have to kind of accept me as their coach, and they did. There was never, any clashing or anything like that. So it was great. I actually really enjoyed it. It was fun because, like I said before, and I said this to them a lot, I said, I would watch you swim races while I was in college, and I had opinions, and now I can tell them. So that was the best part. Like, I have a lot of thoughts about races and stuff. So I got to tell people and critique and fix strokes. So,
Of course, what has that been like? Obviously, as you said, when you were an athlete, you had a female coach, and now that you're that female coach for those young athletes.
yeah, I think it's very unique. I think, I've had great coaches across the board, men and women. And I think what makes swimming in another way so unique is when you're in the water, you're very connected to how your body is feeling and what it's doing. Like, you're very hyper aware of your body. And of course, your body changes and grows. And as a woman, we don't even fully, there's not complete research on everything as like impacts on certain, times of the month, not to get too deep into that. But I think having a female coach is a very important thing for such a big program. I have had a lot of great men coach me, and they fully get it. But for such a big program, I think having a woman there as well, it's a program of almost 90 athletes. So, a good big group of women. If anything else, it's just there's a girl there cheering me on, or a woman there in my corner. But it's someone who gets it. when we need to get it. So
What does a typical swim meet look like for you as a coach versus when you were at?
yeah, very different, but not. I joked a lot. I had to get really good shoes because I'm on my feet a lot more as a coach than I ever was swimming, right? And I think I was comparing this with someone. I was like, I don't know which, if I was more tired after swimming, like competing in a meet or coaching. Because the difference I think is the key one is that I was there a lot earlier as a coach. You're one of the first ones at the pool. We were setting up everything, and we're one of the last ones to go. So I think that's probably one of the biggest. Truly, I didn't realize how much coaches do until I became one, to set up, just to be there. And then you're on the entire meet, right? You're watching. When you're swimming, I'm thinking about my teammates, but I'm focusing on my race. When you're coaching, you're focusing on every athlete's race. So I
Hmm.
had to, I was saying I had to like really buy good clothes and good shoes because it's hot, and I had to make sure my feet and back weren't hurting by the end of it every day.
Can you talk about a force the culture that you've started to help to build for the swimming program of Gustavus?
I think one very strong thing that I noticed as an athlete when I was recruiting or being recruited to the program and then joining it is the strong culture that was already established. John Carlson, the head coach, really values the team culture. That's a big aspect of our program. If we are not, being the loudest cheering for each other, we're not having a strong connection, we're not going to be a championship team at the end of the season. It's those bonds that get you through those really hard practices, those maybe down moments. So I really think anything that I did was to help continue on what John had already established. And I think the biggest thing about that team culture is that he really does let the athletes establish that. One big thing is senior leadership on our swim team. All the seniors are captains, and they're the last ones off the bus cleaning up the trash. They're the ones, hosting the barbecue to welcome everyone, with the first week of college. So there's leadership from the seniors, and every year it's a new class of seniors. You come in as freshmen, you are eventually a leader if you do those 4 years. So yeah, I just was continuing on what had already been established. I think a culture I really do value personally is a lot of the mental health discussions, though. So that was something I tried. It's very hard, to breach those topics with people, but this, mental health checks, and this is, I think, something that I helped to contribute to continue on that culture, though.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
Yeah, so we're the MIAC conference, so it's Minnesota. It's a lot of the D3, Division 3 colleges. So we got, for some of them are just women's programs versus just men's, and some teams that we compete against have both, which is great. So Hamlin, St. John's, St. Catherine's, St. Olaf. There's a lot of saints. Carleton College. We go every year. We go out to Stevens Point, Wisconsin. That's a travel meet we do. We swim at Grinnell, Iowa. But the majority of the teams that we swim against and compete against are within that MIAC conference in Minnesota.
What does that home meet look like for Gustavo?
Gustavus, yeah. It's pretty. I feel like what I noticed is something unique is Gustavus has a really nice pool. And I'm kind of biased, but I think it has a really nice pool. And so we have a lot of our home meets at home. So it's different for every person because that's kind of the key of being a swimmer. It's a team thing in college, but it's an individual experience. So people are showing up. We have a set time, you have to be in the pool by. We have an early warm up if it's home. So a lot of the distance swimmers like to get a lot of yardage in before the actual warm up. And so that's their time they'll come in at 8 a.m. if warm up starts at 10 or 9, and some a little extra. But it's you do what you need to do as an athlete. And I think that's the difference between like college and high school, right? Like in college, it's a bit of what you need more than maybe you do in high school or middle school.
As a coach, what is it like getting to see those freshmen put on that Gustavus cap for the first time?
Oh, it's great. I think especially coming in, just having finished my own time as an athlete there, it was a lot of reflection. Sorry, my cat's on. But it's great. It's again, I talk a lot about like the legacy and how big this program is. They are getting to become that. And I think they realize that too. It's kind of funny because we have a lot of extra caps. And so like the first meet, a lot of them are wearing like just blank blue or like black swim caps. And I'm tossing them their Gustavus caps. I'm like, nope, you got to put this on now. Like now you're on this team. You have been here enough. Wear the cap. You don't have a choice, but like wear the cap. And so they put it on like, okay, I'm part of this team. And then you get to really see them grow throughout the season. I mean, freshman year of college is always a learning and a growth curve for anyone. When you're in a sport, and especially swimming, watching them get into their roles on the team, become more confident, become better athletes. It's great.
What is it like as a coach getting to see them put on that senior cap for the last time?
So again, like, as I've only been coaching for this year, it was a lot of my friends. And so I had a very special heart and place in my heart for those seniors because they were the ones that kind of let me do my coaching thing, right? They could have ignored it, could have challenged it, but they were welcoming and let me step up. And so it was fun to see them come in because I got to see them come in as freshmen as a teammate, and I got to see them as a coach, and as their teammate rise up. This senior class that we just had, amazing leaders, and they were really great for the culture. And so it was emotional. It's emotional always to see them, swim that last race. And, I think the joy of swimming is that you can keep doing it, but the sadness comes from that this is their last time with Gustavus, and that's a hard thing to leave.
As a coach, what does that recruitment process look like when looking at those prospective swimmers?
Yeah. So we have an assistant coach who he's obviously the assistant coach. So he's coaching, but he is the recruitment specialist. That's his job. His name is Luke Wyatt. So Luke is on top of his game when it comes to recruiting, and every program has different approaches, but we are paying attention particularly because we're smaller schools in Minnesota. We're reaching out to a lot of athletes in Minnesota, going to schools, watching swim meets. Swim Cloud, if you're a swimmer, you're aware of. It's a thing where you can see times of every person and their best times. Like I'm on there, like anyone who swims is on there. But I think one thing that's unique to Division III is, we're aware of people across the country, but we're, a smaller school. So we are focused on Minnesota. When I looked at Gustavus or someone out of state, I had to contact them. And then they're like, okay, we'll recruit you, So it is a bit more if you're an athlete and you're interested in a program like us, and you're not in the same state, like a smaller school, reaching out to them, but also reaching out to them no matter what, saying I'm interested. I think that's something important, no matter what division it is, but especially in Division III.
Of course, as a coach so far, what have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish for the program?
Well, this season was both men and women won the MIAC Conference Championship. It was very close for the women. They fought hard. And the men were able to win their 5th consecutive MIAC Championship. And both men and women winning has not happened since 2008. So that was really exciting. It was a battle every day, and they worked hard. So that was probably the best and coolest accomplishment I got to see. We also had both of our freshman athletes win a Rookie of the Year award. And then we had our men win Most Valuable Swimmer of the Year award. Actually, they tied for it. So we had 2 of our seniors win that. So that was exciting to see.
What are some of your future plans moving forward in the program?
Yeah, so I am actually stepping away from the program for a bit. I'm going to law school. So this kind of popped up and I became a coach, and I plan to continue coaching no matter where I go. But not with Gustavus for now. Who knows, maybe I'll be back afterwards. I love that program, and I have loved and appreciated and valued my time with them. But that's where I am in my life. I'll be going to law school next.
What advice would you give those future freshmen entering their first year of college swimming?
I received a great piece of advice from a high school coach. And it seems like kind of minor, but it's big. Buy into the program, right? At this point, you have picked that school. You've looked at several schools, maybe, or maybe just one, but you have picked to go there. Especially swimmers, you've had other coaches, right? And they've told you to do things a certain way. You're going to go to this college program and they're going to tell you to do something differently. Forget everything you learned from before and let them and try with them. She told me that. I did it. It was great. I bought into the program. I also think know and have patience, that this is going to be different than anything you've ever done before, even as an athlete. I think college swimming is a different game than high school swimming and club swimming. Some people say it's kind of the best of both worlds of high school and club swimming. But you're going to be putting in a lot of work every day. You might not be going your best times every week because honestly, we had a lot of conversations with freshman swimmers. If you're going super fast every weekend, that means you're probably not training hard enough within the week, right? So you're working harder probably than you ever have before every day. But if you trust the process and trust that, this is new for not just you, but for your teammates and your coaches. This is their first time working with you usually. If you trust the process and trust your gut and enjoy it, it'll be a great year.
What advice would you give those seniors that are college swimmers looking to compete professionally for the national team?
Yeah, so swimming is kind of unique in that there's not a lot of spots, right? So but the other joy of swimming is that if that's something you think you can, and that you can be within like that area, because times don't lie at the end of the day, right? Times are times. If you're the fastest, you're the fastest. If you're not, you can keep training after college. And a lot of athletes do that. You stay with programs. Definitely keep working, know your plans, know what you're going to do. But yeah.
What advice would you give those swimmers like yourself looking to get into coaching after their swimming career?
I know a lot of athletes who want to coach, and there's definitely a lot of positions available. I got very lucky with the opportunity to start right away with this program. Gustavus is so special, and I felt so honored to be a coach on that program. But there are high school programs, there are club programs, there are places that you can step up. If you want to coach, you can coach. I will say, give yourself grace if you are looking into doing that, because it's a learning curve for yourself as well. Swimming, but being a coach is a different game, and you have to learn how to be a coach. So do a lot of reading, but find a program. There are tons of programs. Talk to your current coaches. That's also what I did when I was an athlete. So they were kind of aware that this was something I was interested in because I had mentioned it.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find the Gustavus swimming program at on social media along with you at?
Yeah, so we are actually very active. We have a great social media director. Her name's Ingrid Iverson. So if you ever want to look us up on Instagram, it's Gusty, Gustie Swim Dive. That's Gusty Swim Dive, and that's on Instagram. You can also always find us on our school website. It's gustavus.edu. That's Gustavus. And you can look for our swimming program that has all our information. But I definitely recommend checking out our Instagram. That's where you're going to see a lot of not just, up to date things, but like the team culture, what the vibe is. We do a lot of fun videos and stuff actually. So you'll see me on there sometimes. You'll see a lot of the athletes.
Thank you again, Coach Sophie, for your interview, and best luck in your future wherever it may hold you.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon. You can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again for your interview, and best luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media, and on YouTube.